Hello, this is Danny Von Beggy. I will be
Okay.
speaking on the dangers of prolonged use of smartphone use. So, audience, this is my beautiful mother and my brother
Hello.
here
Hi.
and my father. So, they will be watching virtually as I'm presenting, and she will
Record.
record me. So, thank you so much for that.
Sure.
That was wonderful. Excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on.
So, what I'll be going over is the dangers of long-term use of smartphones. In this presentation, I'll be going over mainly three main points. One, why using cell phones for too long can lead to potential radiation issues. Now, this isn't, we'll talk about this later. Now, there is mental health and physical issues, your sleep pattern, as well as showing you methods on how to counteract that. So, we'll be going over that in this presentation. My main points. Usually we have main points, but I'm going to have four here. Because the last one is to show you how to counteract what's going on here. My main points, the first one, the effects of smartphone overuse on sleep. So, sleep can highly be affected by the use of smartphones. You might not even know it, but there's something called blue light that is emitted from your phone, not just your phone, but also any other electronics, tablets, laptops, televisions, whatever it might be. They emit a blue light, which makes it hits your eyes and makes you think that it's daytime when it's not. So what this does is affect your melatonin production. So we don't want that. So this affects the problem with sleep.
Mm.
Next is a potential risk of radiation with cell phones. Although we don't know, it's still being studied. Smartphones have only been out for about 20 years. It's an ongoing study, similar to vapes. We don't know exactly the health risk behind them, although we do know some. So, the potential risk of radiation with cell phones, it's not ionizing radiation, so it might not be too bad, but with prolonged use, which is the whole point of this presentation, it can cause serious issues. Next, the mental and physical health risks associated with smartphone use. Not just mental health, but physical. So this means a plethora of different things: depression, anxiety, and I'm sure you guys have gone through some of this, and I've gone through some of this too. Using the phone all day, and then somebody wants to go outside, or you want to hang out, you want to do this and that, and you're not feeling it because you've just been using that phone all day. It makes you anxious, it makes you depressed, and it just brings it. It just changes your perspective on things. So, next, how to potentially counteract the risks. I'll be showing you how to counteract all the risks, as well as showing you some, obvious measures on how to take care of these issues. So,
Okay, great.
we'll go into the next slide here. I'm so sorry about that. Oh yeah, no, this isn't. Here we go. Although radiation hasn't necessarily been proved to be harmful, we're still doing studies on it. As I said, smartphones are a new thing, but it has been proved that keeping them in your pocket, as well as the ion-packed battery, can explode in some instances. So we want to be careful about that. But so far, we haven't had many issues with that. However, it's still being studied. There are good types of radiation. Exposure to it every day, even non-ionizing radiation, such as your phone, your microwave, your television, other things. They can contract to the skin and lead to some forms of cancer, such as melanoma, carcinoma, which are benign. They usually are not malignant, but you never know. But either way, cancer is not the ideal way to go. On to the next slide. Your cell phones and your sleep cycle. As we talked about before, blue light from phones, screen, computers, and televisions affect your sleep. As you can see in this diagram here. Here's your REM cycle. This is about as much time as you get for your REM cycle. This is light sleep. This is deep sleep. Without this REM and this deep sleep, you are not going to get the same amount of attention span that you would during the day. You're going to be groggy. You're not going to be the same person that you would be. Like you're not going to be fully rested or anything. So these are things that will affect your rest. They'll affect you if you have to go to work in the morning. They'll affect that. It'll affect your life eventually. So you want to make sure you take care of these, nip them in the bud before anything bad happens. Next, blue light can also lead to eye pain, disruption of sleep, retina damage. Another thing, the effect on the health. Blue light, you might not know it, but if you don't turn off your devices 20, 30 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep, it can lead to headaches, migraines, eye fatigue, disruption of sleep, suppress melatonin production, and cause damage to the retina. All that just from leaving your devices on. I'd say it's not worth it. Next, the health and physical problems associated with overuse of smartphones. This is probably one of the biggest issues besides just the sleep cycle, because people are on their phones all day. I remember one day I just looked around and everyone was using their phone. Not a single person was communicating with each other. Everyone was just looking down at their phone, and I was like, what kind of world are we living in? You know? It's not right. It's not right. So I think we should limit the amount of time that we use our cell phones. One way is, one reason is because the use of smartphones especially have been shown to have higher levels of anxiety and depression, and this correlates with the time that you use it for. The longer you use your smartphone, the more anxious you're going to be when going outside, because you're not used to human contact, that's just how things work. This could be due to the fact that there's a lack of physical human interaction, especially if the individual is alone. If you're alone in the house, this is even worse, because you don't have anyone telling you not to do this or that. You're just sitting at home using your electronics, not feeling you're doing anything wrong, lacking physical contact, lacking, exercise. This can lead to some serious health issues that you do not want to have to deal with from a simple smartphone. Lastly, isolation can often lead to thoughts of depression, and some on the internet are so much that they forgot how to operate in the real world. I used to do that. I used to play, little video game. I played RuneScape when I was a little kid, and I played for hours and hours and hours, and I wasn't able to operate in the real world, because real world is not the same as a fantasy world that you're living in a video game. Mm-hmm. So people who are doing this for hours and hours and hours, it just disrupts their mental, their psyche, and there needs to be some sort of balance between how much they're able to use the phone, how much they're able to correlate with real life. Lastly, and this goes on to my next thing, complements the next thing. So this can lead to major issues such as weight gain, lack of exercise, isolation from friends and family, etc. And I don't think I have to expand more on that. Yeah, people know that's how things work. Lastly, how can I avoid the risks? One way you can avoid the risk is to use the phone less often. Obviously. Use the phone less often. Use it only for the essentials. You gotta forget, phones were only made to call people in the beginning. Call and text. That was it. So, I understand that there are things such as social media that people want to check into, but, if you can just limit that or even use a computer, it can be safer. There are little stickers that can, affect the radiation. The studies haven't been completed yet, but they might be able to counteract the radiation coming from the device that you're using. So the next thing, try to use your phone and turn off all of your electronics with screens that might emit blue light in order to keep your sleep cycle healthy. Sleep cycle healthy, I already went over this. You want to make sure you turn off all devices about 30 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep. And lastly, keep your phone away from direct contact with your body. Don't have your phone touching your body all the time, especially when you're sleeping. You want it on your chest. I understand you have to keep it in your pocket, but you want to do it as least as possible. So that is the basis of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have learned from this and you will implement what you've learned and that you will be safer from smartphone use in the future. Thank you so much.
Yay! Amazing.